You know what, folks? I've been thinking. But this information that I just saw about the possible missing time paradox hypothesis, it really gives a whole nother tone to the alien disclosure thing. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, if the big disclosure is about aliens being covered up, why would that be something that would be so in and of itself taboo to expose or reveal? The average one of us is gonna assume that, all right, if there's a whole nother space beyond us, then there's got to be a whole nother beings beyond us. Whenever we even go places we never been before, we end up seeing life forms we never seen before. We go into the highest mountains, we'll see something we haven't seen before and assume that it's not there. But prior to that, we had no foreknowledge of that creature. Same thing with there are fish that swim so deep into the darkness of the ocean that they glow in the dark. Now, on the surface, we probably won't inherently know that they're there, but we could assume that they other creatures from other worlds. Right here on this terrarium, right here in this terrarium, however many layers of it we exist on. But the alien disclosure thing points to the time paradox in a very conspiratorial way. Makes it look like there could be a possible motive for the cover-up. Like, what if the cover-up is not to prove that there's other life out there? Of course, the questions aren't going to stop there. So that's not really where the controversy rests. It's digging deeper. Because it's going to be, first, now that we know that they're out there, how long they've been there, it won't matter as much as who was the first one to know that y'all was here. And what kind of conversations did y'all have? See, that's where the whole disclosure thing is going to come to a peak. With the alien agenda and everything, it's surrounding this argument. Or it could potentially go there, like in a big way. They could say, well, what did they tell you? Now let's get into the missing time paradox hypothesis, which is basically they're saying there's a big conspiracy in the Vatican about this missing time between the years of 614 and 911. I guess that's AD or CE. But for, however many years, there's a gap there. And then some people go on to say there was 13 months in the calendar because when you added the days and the leap year and however many hours there are, minutes, seconds, they go into that whole thing and say that we're in a different time than we are now. I forget who one of the famous guys was like an older philosopher. And I believe he was saying that we're technically in, 1700 or something is what he's saying, like 1720 rather than 2023. Like rather than 2023 is 1723. So what are we, 50 years before the Declaration of Independence? So we not independent yet? What were we before then? Were we all controlled? See, I mean, if you're looking at history and you just strip everything away and just hold the hypothesis up to certain patterns, yeah, I mean, it can get 1720-ish. Sure, like some of what's going on can appear to be pre-independent in its scope, right? Things can appear to be pre-independent. Possible gang stalkers is wild and today. But in either case, which also can be tied into the alien agenda, Mach 5 spies and all of that. And that's if you believe in all of that stuff. It's just picking up on patterns. You don't have to believe or not believe, but just think about it. They're saying that with this time paradox, that time, there's a big block of time that could possibly be false and not even real. They were saying, like, for instance, a character like Charlemagne, like the historical figure Charlemagne, never existed. Well, if that's the case, then the first Charlemagne is going to be the Charlemagne you see on the Breakfast Club, Charlemagne the God. He would be the one and only Charlemagne if this time paradox thing is true. You know, so either way, we got Charlemagne. You feel me, man? So it would have been that way either way. But that's just interesting to just to consider, like, yo, what if we're missing that time? Because who's to say that, you know, when AD started, that was officially what time was? We don't know that. We just know the numbers we've been given and what people say the time is. But we don't know for real, like, was somebody really counting way back in the beginning of time and like, okay, this is going to be this? Or was people deciding to have conversations about, you know what, time is going to officially start here with this particular character? Because of how historical this figure is, he or she is going to be the indicator of time. We're going to say from this person's era or period to that person's era or period. And we're going to call that time. But is that real time? Or are you saying you're collecting moments? Because moments are not the same thing as time. You might pass off moments for time, but moments and time are not synonymous. Moments are chronicles. Time is just simply the ongoing now. Whatever you call now, that's time. Why I'm tying this into the alien agenda, though, is that if there's gonna be any cover up worth a big dust up, it will probably be that. Because what if somebody from Jupiter is like, yo, enough is enough, y'all. They've been talking to us the whole time. Yeah, they hid your history. Yes, this particular people, yep, y'all was really supposed to be the ones in charge of everything, and this was stolen from you. Yep, past lives and all of that is possible. These technologies and time machines and experiments and different type of Elohim and Anunnaki and Archon and Draconian and Pleiadian and Atlantean and Arcturian. All of these people have conspired against you to disenfranchise you from eons ago. Now, if they're coming to disclose that, the possible risk or threat of them disclosing that would make just their mentioning the validity of their existence itself a threat. Because if there was any life forms out there that wanted to destroy us by now and we can't see them or even detect them, and we've been sending out things for hundreds of years to try to track them down, and we can't get anything but rocks, they would have been destroyed us. If our technology is far less superior and they could make crop circles and draw haircuts and all of this in the cornfields in middle America, if they can do all of that and we can't touch them, they can abduct us, put all kinds of probes, and if all of that can happen, we can make a million movies about them, and none of them will run for Congress. If all of that can happen, then we can be touched too easily. So the disclosure would have to be deeper than just the validity of alien existence. It will have to be, well, what can the aliens do? Well, we know what they could or could not do, and we know that doesn't matter. If there was anything that they could have done, they probably would have did it. If they saw us as food, we would have been eaten. If they saw us as an enemy, we would have been defeated. If we can't even see them, we never even seen them before. How we know how they coming? We don't know how they coming. If they're coming, we don't know if they're here already. We don't know if every family has people that's really them and just look like people. We don't know any of this stuff. We got a million movies to choose from, but I tell you what, those thought forms are coming out of Astro for some reason for all of those movie directors and novelists and science fiction writers. It's coming out of the thought forms for a reason. The biggest lie is that there are no lies. Well, the biggest lie is that there is a such thing as a lie. It's just how much are you willing to put your energy into a statement to make it true. The moment you let it go, it becomes a lie. The moment you hang on to it, it becomes the truth. The truer it is, the tighter you'll hold on to it. So that could be that's a possible big, cover up. And again, I'm compounding theory on theory, though. These things can't be proven. I can't prove any of this stuff. This is just saying if these things are true, just so you're ready, like, for the impossible. Just in case something like this were to pop off, you wouldn't just have a heart attack from shock, from just the reality of it. It would have been something you would have entertained already, enough to be like, well, dang, I never thought this was going to happen. But good thing we at least made a hypothetical about it where I'm just not caught all the way off guard. I at least know this and this. I at least got some passwords. I at least got a little bit of context. I at least know what to address, what to wait for, what to look for. I at least have some protocol on how to deal with them. Space, the ultimate war of heaven, seemingly still taking place. There's people trying to go to space, label things in space. People even want to trade space. I guarantee you they want to trade space. You think people aren't out there trying to asteroid mine? I got this plutonium over here. We're 2,700 light years away, 2,700 light years away. Yeah. Give me this on that. Yeah, they going crazy out here. Like, that was about to be 2 accidents right there as we speak. Because people are tapped out. And this is like, they had more than enough time to even see who the drivers were in that intersection. They had more than half a block to, aliens is foreign. There's so many alien things happening anyway, right? It's to the point it was like, well, if we can't uncover what's going on in Area 51, then we just gonna start calling some of these people aliens. If they ain't been in the country long enough, we just gonna call them aliens too. If I'm not feeling well today, I'm just gonna be like, hey, I'm feeling pretty alien today. I think I'm gonna call out. They was like, we just gonna name it something. But these thought forms is coming from somewhere, and that'd be a wild cover up. Because it's interesting. Look, who's to say, hey, it is what it is. And you can call time whatever you could call time. But still, it's going to be the chronicling of the moments. Otherwise, they wouldn't name certain eras of time like they do. They might see the Elizabethan age or the Victorian era or the Henry, you know what I mean? They'll name something. It will usually be based on the name of somebody, because that's typically how that works, right? They were saying like BC, before Christ, AD, after death, and then they went with common era. We don't know who era is. But if you're talking about common and you want to make the idea of common into a demiurge, not the rapper turned after common, but if you're making the common man its own new demiurge, then maybe you're saying something there. Like before common era, you're no longer naming it after a person. Time was always named after people before, right? If you're going back to what you're calling dinosaurs, you didn't call it dinosaurs, you just called it prehistory, prehistoric age. If it was just dinosaurs and cavemen, then that's not prehistory, that's history too. Like, as long as there's existence, there's history. But see, history becomes his story. Well, if it ain't my story, it don't count. Nah. Well, then you excluding time. And time could possibly be covered up and swapped out by history. How you like them apples? Super T Sigma. I holla.